Okay, let's talk about something we all struggle with: waiting. It's called delayed gratification, and we're going to look at it in a totally new way today. See, it's not about denying yourself things you want, not at all. It's actually about building one of the most powerful skills you can have for, well, getting everything you really want in the long run.
I mean, it really all comes down to this, doesn't it? This one simple but honestly super profound choice. Do you take the small reward right this second? Or are you willing to wait for something bigger and better? This question, believe it or not, is at the heart of our goals, our habits, and yeah, even our happiness. And that is the core idea we're diving into. In a world that is just screaming for instant everything, learning to wait, that isn't being passive. No way. It's an active, strategic choice. It's a superpower that lets you connect the person you are today with the person you are trying so hard to become. To really get this, we have to start with probably the most famous experiment ever done on this topic. So let's jump back in time all the way to the 1960s. So picture this. A psychologist at Stanford, Walter Mischel, sets up this really simple test. He puts a little kid in a room with a marshmallow, and he gives them a choice. You can eat this one marshmallow right now, or if you can just wait 15 minutes till I get back, you'll get two. But here's where it gets really interesting. Years later, researchers followed up with these exact same kids, now as adults. And what they found was kind of mind-blowing. The kids who managed to wait for that second marshmallow, well, they just tended to do better in life. Across the board. Higher test scores, healthier relationships, even higher incomes. Why? It wasn't about being smarter. It was about having this one crucial skill, the ability to manage an impulse for a bigger reward down the line. So what is actually happening inside our heads during this internal tug of war? What does the science say? Let's take a look. Okay, you can basically think of it as two little voices battling it out in your brain. First, you've got your limbic system. This is your primal, emotional brain, and it's basically a toddler screaming, "I want it now." Then you've got your prefrontal cortex. That's the adult in the room. It's the part responsible for logic and long-term planning, and it's calmly saying, "Hey, hold on. If we wait, we can get something even better." And your choice? It all comes down to which voice wins that fight. Here's the cool part. Every single time you choose to wait, to not check your phone for the 10th time, to put that money in savings, to actually do that workout, you're not just making a good choice. You are actively strengthening your prefrontal cortex. It's not just a cute metaphor, you are literally building a mental muscle for patience. And this is possible because of this incredible thing our brains can do called neuroplasticity. Your brain isn't set in stone. It can physically change and rewire itself based on what you do over and over again. So, the more you practice patience, the stronger those connections in your brain get, which makes it just a little bit easier to be patient next time. Now, let's talk about the flip side, because let's be honest, we live in a world designed from the ground up to feed that "I want it now" voice. And there are some serious hidden costs to always giving in. It's something called the dopamine trap. So every time you get a notification or make an impulse buy online, your brain gets a tiny little hit of this feel-good chemical called dopamine. The problem is, over time, your brain gets used to these super fast, easy rewards. And the slow, steady satisfaction that comes from actual, real progress, it starts to feel, well, kind of boring in comparison. And the fallout from this is huge. It's why we procrastinate. We're putting off the hard thing for the easy comfort of distraction. We start avoiding the very discomfort that we need in order to grow. But maybe worst of all, it slowly chips away at our trust in ourselves, and we end up living this reactive, unfocused life, just chasing the next quick hit. And this, right here, is the most painful cost. It's not about the one donut you ate or the one workout you skipped. It's about the story you start telling yourself. Every time you break a promise to yourself, it becomes another piece of evidence that says, "See, you can't really count on you." Okay, so that's the problem. But here's the really good news. Patience is a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned. So let's shift gears and look at the solution. We've got a clear, actionable game plan for you. All right, here it is, a 5-step science-backed practice to build that mental muscle. First, you start tiny with micro delays. Second, you visualize the reward, make it feel real. Third, and this is a big one, you replace bad habits. You don't just restrict them. Fourth, you reward the process to keep yourself going. And finally, number 5, you anchor it all in your identity. Let's look a little closer at a couple of these. Okay, step 3 is an absolute game changer. Think about it. When you just restrict something, it feels like punishment, right? It makes you want to rebel. But when you replace it, that feels like empowerment. So instead of just telling yourself, ugh, I have to stop scrolling on my phone, you say, you know what? I'm going to choose to read one inspiring article instead. See the difference? You're not taking something away, you're adding something better. And this one is so important. Don't wait until you've hit the giant goal to celebrate. Reward yourself for showing up, for being consistent. When you do that, you're literally rewiring your brain to enjoy the process itself, not just that final outcome way off in the distance. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway here, the final mindset shift that really ties all of this together. It's all about learning to play the long game. The fifth and, honestly, the most powerful step we mentioned is anchoring yourself in your identity. Here's the secret. Don't wait for your actions to change who you are. Decide who you want to be first, and then let your actions prove it. Because your behavior will always follow your identity.
So instead of thinking, oh, I really need to be more patient, you start telling yourself, I am someone who is patient. Instead of hoping, gosh, I hope I can stick with this, you decide, I am someone who plays the long game. This isn't about faking it till you make it. It's about anchoring yourself in the person you're actively becoming.
And at the end of the day, that's really the whole story, isn't it? The amazing lives we admire, the big achievements we envy, they're almost never the result of one giant leap. They're built, day by day, through countless small, patient, and often completely unseen steps. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Who could you become? What incredible things could you achieve? What kind of peace could you find if you just mastered the art of waiting well? The future you really want isn't rushing ahead without you. It's just waiting for you to catch up, one patient step at a time.